So this is a Regina Housekeeper. I purchased this at a thrift store yesterday, and this is my fifth Housekeeper I've had. The ones in the past I had a fully functional one that was very similar to this one, with all the attachments, but the hose was non-expandable. This one is a later version that has the stretch hose. And then the other three Reginas I had were all junked, because they all were beyond the repairs that I would have been able to put or give them. This one has a little bit of wear on it, but it's actually in very good shape, being that this vacuum is about 25 years old now. If you don't know Reginas, if you're a collector, they started by making record players in the early 1900s. They expanded to appliances, and they're best known for electric brooms. I bet you probably, if you went back in time, there are probably some people you know who at some point in their life had a Regina electric broom, because they were very, very popular. They sold millions and millions of them. They expand to uprights. More recently, they're more known for making very cheap vacuums, and this Housekeeper is an example. The first Regina Housekeeper was actually so bad that it actually bankrupted the company because they were so poorly made out of cheap plastic. It's very hard to find a Regina these days that's in good shape because they were cheap to begin with, but then once you add the age and the brittle plastic, once the plastic ages, it just destroys the machine. In fact, there was a plastic piece on this machine that broke when I was taking it apart down in the base, so I had to reglue it together. So it is a rather fragile machine. And these Reginas don't have a whole lot of power. They have a decent motor in them, but for whatever reason, they do not have a whole lot of suction or airflow. And it's not, the power isn't related to the brush roll. The vacuum actually has a fairly decent brush roll with stiff bristles, so something about this design with the hose cuts off airflow, and it doesn't have a whole lot of power. I do not have the original attachments for this machine. I just have this dusting brush and this crevice tool, but they're not original to this machine. There should also be two extension ones and an upholstery tool here. This is the carrying handle right here. And it's a 2-speed. This is the switch right here for low and high. I personally don't see why there's any point to have it run on low speed, because it has hardly any power on low speed. So, but it's got the height adjustment right here, set on automatic right now, but it also has 4 other settings. Now, as I said, Reginas were always cheaply made. This is a later model Housekeeper with the wider nozzle. These were made just a little bit better. These held up better than the earlier machines, so it's not as bad. I also made a modification. This is an Electrolux C HEPA bag that I made for it. This is a Regina collar, but I pulled the old bag off in order to make this HEPA bag so it filters a lot better. And these vacuums are not sealed, so they also leaked a lot of dust, and they're kind of noisy too. This was one of the very, very cheapest vacuums you could buy back in the day, so they sold a lot of them. You just don't see them a lot anymore just because they didn't hold up. But nevertheless, it's an interesting machine to have. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing yet. This is a 10 amp motor. Some of them had more amps, some of them had less. It's got a nice sounding motor. It sounds kind of like a Lamb motor, although I'm not sure if that's actually a Lamb motor in there. I would guess probably not, because it would probably have more airflow if it was, but still, it's an interesting collector piece, although for someone who actually needs a good vacuum to do some serious cleaning, I would not recommend picking one of these up. They just don't have a lot of power. But they're a nice machine to use. They're easy to push. They glide across the carpet pretty nicely. The only issue is this nozzle really just doesn't get close in contact with the carpet, so that's another issue with these. And it doesn't even have a handle release pedal. You just push down on the nozzle and it releases. So we'll just give it a quick run. So it has a new bag in it. I washed the filter as well. So let's, I'll just keep it on auto. So that is the Regina Housekeeper Ultra. I'll just do a little close-up of it quick. The serial number and all that information at the bottom. So they sold quite a lot of these, and they were made in the United States. They were still cheap vacuums, though. It doesn't really matter where it was made to determine the quality, but you know, if you find one, it's in good shape, and it's under like 20 bucks, yeah, I would pick one up, just because they're kind of unusual looking machines. To me, they're kind of like an Electrolux upright, but with less power and not built as well. But, you know, still worth it to have. Regina's an important part of vacuum history since they invented the electric broom. They're also one of the earliest vacuum cleaners to have onboard attachments, so that's another thing interesting. So, well, that is the Regina Housekeeper Ultra. Hope you enjoyed the video.